I thought I'd show off my old trainer helicopter I had from, I got this in the mid 90s. This was called an LMH 100. You can see it's a model helicopter. It uses, it's got what they call a fixed pitch head. That's this right here. What that basically means is that these blades are mounted at a particular angle with replate to I believe this is called the I can't remember what it is, but they don't move like this. That'd be a collective. You can Google if you want what it is, but it's a fixed pitch head instead of a collective head. Fixed pitch helicopter heads are much simpler in the mechanics of how they work than a collective head. And because of that, this thing's considerably more durable than a more conventional collective head helicopter. The downside to it is it relies on just spooling up the speed of the blades here to increase lift. With a conventional helicopter with a fixed pitch head of the collective head, the head speed can be maintained fairly constant, and you change the angle of attack here to increase or decrease lift. With a fixed pitch, well, I'm going to explain it anyway. With a fixed pitch, you change the lift of the helicopter by simply increasing or decreasing the speed of the head. Collective heads react much more quickly because you can change this angle of attack on the collective head helicopter almost instantaneously, whereas a fixed pitch, you can obviously only speed up the engine and slow down the engine, at a certain rate, which means it's not going to react as fast, which is going to be a downfall, and if you have a gust of wind or other anomalies that try to make your helicopter not do what you want it to do. But again, the trade-off is strength. These are extremely durable. I mean, you can take this helicopter and actually hit a wall with it and go or pick it up and keep running. These blades pop up like that. A regular helicopter, that would break the blade if you just did what I just did. What other unique features? This helicopter has been out of production for some years now. It's made by a company called Lite Machines, who seems to have gone into a military drone business from what I understand, or at least for surveillance videos. But what its claim to fame was the, I think it's pronounced arlton gyro. And what that does is this gyroscopic mechanism here changes the now this is a collective contraption here. You can see those blades moving together. It changes the angle of attack of the tail rotor in response to changes in momentum or direction this way. So if you have it's like a gyroscope. If you ever held a gyroscope, you'll know what I mean. If you quickly shift direction like that, there's a force exerted that's like 90 degrees out of phase with that movement. It takes advantage of that gyroscopic action to actuate this rotor to counter those effects. It was pretty unique and totally obsolete now because you can buy electronic gyros that are far superior to any mechanical gyro of the day. But when this helicopter was being developed back in the mid-90s, we weren't where we are today with electronics and gyros. So this was a way to make an inexpensive helicopter, and the gyro worked for what it does. It worked very well, and I'm kind of glad I have it. I mean, it's almost like a vintage piece of gear now. I don't think too many people even kept their old gyros. They would convert this to an electronic one, so I'm kind of glad I never did that. It uses something called a Norvel engine. This is it's a 0.061 or a 1cc displacement, single cylinder, uses a piston and this is the muffler. The muffler is they call it an exhaust throttle. It actually throttles down by pinching off the exhaust gases rather than more conventional choking off the carburetor. That's a very effective throttle approach with an engine this size. A conventional carburetor on a small engine like this just doesn't work very well. It's very linear in its action. It really works well. It couples its energy through a centrifugal clutch. That's this black thing right here. You can see I can spin the head, and I don't know if you can make out that clutch is not moving. Of course it wouldn't because it's centrifugal clutch. But what happens is when the engine spools up, the metal parts inside that split apart because of centrifugal force and engage the side of this plastic hub, which is connected to a gear, which then drives this main gear. So anyway, that's, anybody who's ever driven around on a go-kart that's been powered by a small four-stroke engine, knows exactly what I'm talking about. This works exactly the same way. Transmits its power through this large gear, comes up through the shaft, it goes through this bevel gear, which drives a rod to another bevel gear, which drives a tail. So that's why the tail's moving when I'm spinning the main rotor. That shaft also continues on up and engages the head. All this stuff here, this is all about stabilizing the main gear the main rotor when it's in flight. It's got micro servos. It has a total of 4. It operates on a regular 4-channel radio. That was the other thing that was unique about it. Is most helicopters have a variety of mixing and control adjustments and all kinds of stuff to make them work. And back in the day, of course, you could have bought that radio, but it's much more expensive. This helicopter lets you use an inexpensive 4-channel aircraft radio, which is a huge savings for the helicopter world. I mean, I think the total package was like a couple $100, maybe $250. Back in the day, a decent helicopter, you're into it at least $1,000. So, it's a lot cheaper and it's a heck of a lot more durable. So for training, it's great. Now, how does it fly? Well, it all depends on your perspective. If you're, before I go there, fuel tank, fuel line, fuel filter, fuel up, backside of servos, the radio and the battery go up here, and there's supposed to be a canopy which has long disappeared. How does it fly? Well, if you're a regular helicopter pilot and you're used to flying a collective head helicopter, you probably crash this thing because it flies very different. You have to do a lot more what I call manual mixing. That is, when you're flying the helicopter, the controls interact. When you come out of a fast forward flight into a hover, it pitches up badly. Regular helicopters don't do that. It's just the nature of the beast. So if you learn how to fly on one of these things, you can fly them pretty well and look pretty good. You go there and hand this off to an expert helicopter pilot who's never flown a fixed pitch helicopter before, don't be surprised if they almost crash it immediately. I mean, maybe they're really good, they won't, but they will sure complain about its flight performance. I learned on this and I transitioned to a collective head, so to me it was no big deal. It's just a slightly different change in how I fly. I thought, well, it was actually a lot easier to fly the collective head than it was this. You just don't want to crash a collective head. You crash this thing, nothing happens. You crash a collective head, there goes a few $100. Anyway, LMH half-A powered glow helicopter built by Lite Machines. I'm really kind of sorry they don't make this anymore. It was a really tough bird. I really liked it a lot. I'll do my collective head helicopter next. More later.